always love me. I always love you too. For me, it was all about singing and just reaching the people. And the people decided for me that I belong here.
But why am I still broke? What's going on? Why do I have $68 in my account?
Have you ever been told you're not pretty enough, not marketable enough, or not the right image, no matter how powerful your voice is? That was the reality Ledisi Anibade Young faced long before she became a Grammy winner, a Broadway star, and the woman who silenced an entire Super Bowl stadium with a single note. Born on March 28, 1972, in New Orleans, Louisiana, Ledisi entered a world where music wasn't just something people enjoyed, it was the fabric of survival. Her mother performed in a local band, her stepfather struggled with alcoholism, and her home life forced her to grow up faster than she should have. But inside that chaos, music became the one place where she could breathe. When her family moved to Oakland, California, the environment became even more challenging. She was the new girl with a different accent, different clothes, and a different energy that kids immediately targeted. School wasn't a place she looked forward to. It was where she fought nearly every day just to defend herself. Yet everything changed the moment she opened her mouth to sing. The same kids who pushed her around suddenly wanted to sit beside her. They wanted to be her friends. It was the first time Ledisi understood that her voice wasn't just talent. It was power, protection, and identity. Her mother, who worked as a legal secretary, taught Ledisi lessons most artists only learn after they've been burned. She explained copyright forms, publishing, ownership, contracts, all the business decisions that shape a musician's future. She told Ledisi she was beautiful as she was, even while the rest of the world tried to convince her she wasn't enough. Her stepfather's addiction created instability at home, and by 18, Ledisi had to leave. Her mother wouldn't leave the marriage, and Ledisi couldn't stay. She packed her things and began life on her own. She waited tables at Sizzler in San Leandro, and then at Red Robin in Bayfair Mall, balancing work with college classes and local performances. She studied the independent hustle of Bay Area legends like Too Short, E40, Master P, and the entire underground rap ecosystem. They sold CDs from their cars, built their own fan bases, and created movements without waiting for industry approval. She decided to build herself the same way. She formed a group called Anibade, her middle name, and performed wherever people gathered. Flea markets, street corners, tiny clubs, strip malls, community events. Ledisi was everywhere, selling CDs by hand, building an audience one person at a time. By 2000, she released her debut independent project, Soul Singer, The Revival, on her own Lasoon Records. It sold over 50,000 units, massive numbers for an independent artist at the time. But when major labels began calling, their message wasn't what she expected. They told her she wasn't pretty enough, not thin enough, not commercial enough. They wanted to mold her into something else, someone with an image they believed was easier to sell. Instead of breaking her spirit, the rejection forced her to strengthen the belief that she deserved to be seen exactly as she was. She tried affirmations, repeating to herself every morning, "I am beautiful, I am worthy." But the industry's criticism was louder, sharper, and harder to silence. By her late 20s, despite releasing 2 independent albums, Ledisi was broke. She had $68 left in her bank account. She couldn't understand how she'd worked so hard, sold so many records, and still found herself sleeping on a friend's floor in New York, wondering if it was time to quit music altogether. So she made a difficult decision. She turned away from the recording industry and went to Broadway, where she could simply perform. She believed she could hide inside theater, rebuild her confidence, and escape the constant rejection. Her friend Richard let her sleep on his floor, and night after night she lay there feeling like a failure, even though she had accomplished what most independent artists only dream about. But even in that low point, she didn't know yet that this detour was about to save her life and shape the voice the world would later celebrate. Leaving home at 18 wasn't an act of rebellion for Ledisi Anibade Young, it was survival. Her mother stayed in a painful marriage, and Ledisi knew that if she didn't leave, she would lose herself completely. So she packed what little she had and stepped into adulthood with nothing but raw determination, a powerful voice, and a belief that music was the only home she could trust. She worked whatever jobs she could find, first at Sizzler in San Leandro, then Red Robin at Bayfair Mall, bussing tables by day, performing at night, college classes squeezed in wherever they fit. She studied the independent hustle of the Bay Area greats, Master P, Too Short, E40. These men built empires from the trunks of their cars. If they could do it without help, she believed she could too. With a small group called Anibade, her middle name, she performed everywhere people gathered. Flea markets, barbershops, sidewalks outside grocery stores, strip malls, street fairs, community parks. No stage was beneath her because every single person who stopped to listen was one more than she had yesterday. She sold CDs out of backpacks, built an audience one handshake at a time, and learned the grind that major labels never teach. In 2000, she released her debut album, Soul Singer, independently on her own La Sun music label. And it worked. 50,000 independent sales, an unheard of number for an unknown R&B singer without radio support. Industry executives took notice, but instead of celebrating her talent, they tried to reshape her. Lose weight, wear this, change your hair, be more commercial, be prettier. They said everything except the one thing she needed to hear, you're enough. The whispers became wounds. After a while, she began reciting affirmations just to survive mornings. I am beautiful, I am worthy, I belong here. But the music business can drain even the strongest spirits, and by her late 20s, Ledisi was mentally and financially exhausted. 2 independent albums later, she had $68 to her name, no stability, no team she could trust, and no clarity about what her future looked like. Talent wasn't the problem, the environment was. So she made a radical decision. She quit music, or at least tried to. She moved to New York, hoping Broadway would be a gentler place to land. She slept on the floor of her friend Richard's apartment, a bare corner of a small room that would eventually become the most important place in her entire journey. That floor was where she confronted her fear, her insecurity, her confusion, and the crushing thought that maybe the industry had been right about her all along. Broadway didn't demand she be prettier. It demanded discipline, skill, and presence, things she always had. She understudied in Caroline or Change, worked on early Color Purple workshops, and stayed close to performers who respected her craft instead of her image. But depression doesn't disappear just because circumstances change. Ledisi hit a breaking point that she never publicly shared until much later. One night, listening to a jazz station while lying on that apartment floor, she decided she was done. With music, with the struggle, with everything. And then, a miracle disguised as a song interrupted her exit plan. Nina Simone's Trouble in Mind came through the speakers, a voice dripping with wisdom, pain, and survival. I'm blue, but I won't be blue always. The sun is gonna shine in my back door someday. The words carved through her despair like a hand reaching into the dark. Someone else had felt what she felt. Someone else had survived it. That single moment didn't just comfort her. It reawakened her. It planted the seed that would grow into the project nobody believed in later. Ledisi sings Nina. Slowly, life began shifting again. Chaka Khan called, yes, that Chaka Khan, asking Ledisi to open for her. Just 1 week of shows, but enough to remind Ledisi of who she was before the rejection and heartbreak. Her voice wasn't gone. Her purpose wasn't gone. She just needed a place strong enough to hold her. In the darkest chapter of her life, the universe was quietly rebuilding her foundation. And the world was about to rediscover Ledisi, not as someone the industry tried to mold, but as the woman she rebuilt herself to be. After the release of Pieces of Me and her growing presence at the White House, Ledisi Anibade Young entered a period where everything she had been building, her voice, her discipline, her stamina, her self-worth, finally aligned. But this next chapter would test her grace, her identity, and her public composure in ways she could have never prepared for. By 2014, Ava DuVernay was directing Selma, a film that demanded emotional truth, cultural weight, and a musical voice powerful enough to summon generations of hope and sorrow. Ledisi was cast as Mahalia Jackson, the legendary gospel icon whose voice had been the spiritual backbone of the civil rights movement. When Ledisi performed Take My Hand, Precious Lord for the film, she delivered it with a depth that came from surviving pain few people knew about. Sleeping on floors, rehearsing through depression, rebuilding confidence that the industry had tried to crush. The performance was raw, intimate, trembling with both history and her own healing. Selma earned critical acclaim, Oscar nominations, and immediately positioned Ledisi as a voice capable of carrying the emotional weight of an entire era. Naturally, the expectation was simple. Ledisi would perform the song at the 2015 Grammy Awards. It was the obvious choice. It was her voice in the movie, she sang it, she lived it, she embodied it, but that wasn't what happened. The Recording Academy instead chose Beyoncé, an artist with more commercial power, more global visibility, and a far larger marketing machine behind her. Ledisi was in the building, sitting inside the arena, watching another artist perform the song she had delivered for a historical film. Social media exploded instantly. Fans called it disrespectful. Critics called it politics. Industry insiders whispered that this was another example of how the business prioritizes marketability over authenticity. Many expected Ledisi to lash out, defend herself, or claim her rightful credit. But she didn't. She refused to participate in outrage. Instead, she simply said she was honored to be part of Selma, proud that the song reached millions, and grateful that Beyoncé helped introduce it to a younger generation. It was a moment of breathtaking grace, one that revealed more about her character than any award ever could. That calm dignity changed the public's perception of her. To some, it made her a symbol of artistic humility. To others, a reminder of how much pressure Black women face to remain composed in situations where men would explode and receive sympathy. But for Ledisi, it was something simpler, staying rooted in purpose. She had come too far to let ego derail her spirit again. She kept working. In 2017, she released Let Love Rule, an album that marked a turning point. She took full creative control, embraced vulnerability as strength, and leaned deeper into the blend of R&B, soul, jazz, and gospel that defined her. The album extended her reach and solidified her identity as an artist who couldn't be boxed into any single genre. But Ledisi wasn't done evolving. She started writing books, Better Than All Right and Don't Ever Lose Your Walk, offering guidance to women navigating self-worth, creativity, and emotional resilience. She launched her own publishing imprint. She began speaking at events, teaching masterclasses, and mentoring students at Berklee College of Music. She married Ronald T. Young in 2018, forming a partnership that was both romantic and creative. Together, they built Fig Street Films, produced stage productions, and crafted the acclaimed one-woman show, The Legend of Little Girl Blue, a tribute to her lifelong connection to Nina Simone. The show sold out 19 performances in Beverly Hills and received rave reviews from critics who praised her ability to merge storytelling, jazz, theater, and biography into one seamless emotional experience. Television roles followed, appearances in Pose, American Soul, and eventually films like Spinning Gold, where she portrayed Gladys Knight. And yet, even with all this growth, Ledisi remained grounded. She still practiced voice exercises daily. She still showed up early to rehearsals. She still protected her peace the way her mother taught her decades earlier. Her influence was expanding not because she played the industry's game, but because she built her own, and each project brought her closer to the opportunity she never expected, the Super Bowl. Ledisi's journey into the 2020s was not just a continuation of her artistry, it was a full-circle moment of claiming everything she had once been denied. Years earlier, executives told her she wasn't commercial enough. They said her look wasn't marketable, her voice too jazzy, her presence too soulful for mainstream R&B. But by 2024 and 2025, the industry no longer shaped her path. Ledisi Anibade Young had become a brand, a force, and a blueprint for independent Black women in music. And she did it without compromising the purity of her voice, her values, or her artistic identity. In 2024, Ledisi released The Good Life, her 11th studio album, a glowing celebration of resilience, maturity, and emotional clarity. The project leaned into the richness of grown woman R&B, lush instrumentation, deeply personal lyrics, and a vocal performance that reminded the world why Ledisi was considered one of the most gifted singers of her generation. The singles Love You Too and Sell Me No Dreams became instant fan favorites, especially among listeners who had grown with her across decades. This wasn't music chasing trends, it was music honoring life experience. The same year, her acting career expanded with new momentum. She stepped deeper into roles portraying legendary women, including Gladys Knight in Spinning Gold, a performance praised for its authenticity and emotional resonance. Ledisi didn't imitate icons, she embodied them, reflecting the soul and spirit behind their artistry. This became one of her defining gifts, but nothing prepared her for the call she received in early 2025. The NFL, the city of New Orleans, and organizers of the Super Bowl wanted Ledisi to perform Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black national anthem, on the biggest stage of her life, in her hometown, in front of 80,000 people in the stadium and over 135 million watching around the world. Ledisi was terrified, excited, honored, but undeniably terrified. Years earlier, she had performed for presidents, for Hollywood elites, for global audiences. But the Super Bowl was different. It wasn't just a performance, it was a cultural statement, a spiritual responsibility. She worked closely with Adam Blackstone to craft an arrangement that honored tradition while showcasing her signature vocal power. They added a choir, and just days before the show, she learned that local New Orleans children would join her on stage, a detail that made her burst into tears. Her hometown wasn't just watching, they were with her. On game day, Ledisi stepped onto that field with her heart pounding like a drum. The stadium lights dimmed, the choir lifted their voices, and then Ledisi opened her mouth and let the truth pour out. Her voice soared, strong, rich, emotional, undeniable. She added her signature shout near the end, a raw, electrifying note meant to remind the world this was live, this was real, this was her. The reaction was immediate. Millions praised the performance as powerful, historic, breathtaking, but it also sparked backlash from commentators who called the song divisive. Ledisi had been warned this would happen. Still, she delivered with grace, clarity, and purpose. She reminded everyone that lift every voice and sing wasn't a political weapon. It was a hymn of perseverance, and her performance became one of the most replayed moments of the entire Super Bowl. After the show, Ledisi launched the Love You 2 tour with Marsha Ambrosius, performing 27 shows across the country. The tour emphasized stripped-down arrangements, no auto-tune, no heavy effects, just real musicianship. Concerts often ended in standing ovations with fans screaming as she hit impossible high notes and improvised riffs that felt like spiritual encounters. By 2025, Ledisi's influence stretched far beyond her music. She continued teaching at Berklee College of Music, mentoring young artists and guiding them through the industry she had once fought to survive. She served as president of the Recording Academy's Los Angeles chapter, pushing for diversity, fairness, and transparency. She worked on books, stage productions, and her own record label. Everything she once dreamed of, she now controlled. Today, Ledisi Anibade Young stands as a testament to what happens when talent refuses to bow to pressure. When a woman insists on being fully herself, even when the world tells her there's no space for her. From sleeping on a floor with $68 in her account to performing for millions on the biggest stage in America, her journey is more than inspirational, it's revolutionary. And she did all of it with integrity, discipline, and a voice that refuses to be ignored. And that's the extraordinary journey of Ledisi Anibade Young, a woman who refused to break, refused to bend, and refused to let an industry built on image decide her worth. From being told she wasn't pretty enough, to sleeping on a friend's floor with only $68 to her name, to standing center field at the Super Bowl with 135 million people listening. Ledisi has lived every chapter of her story with honesty, humility, and unstoppable power. Her voice has carried her across continents, her resilience has inspired generations, and her grace, even in moments the world called snubs, has proven again and again that true greatness isn't handed out. It's earned, fought for, and embodied. Ledisi didn't just survive the industry, she elevated it. And if her journey teaches us anything, it's this: you don't need permission to shine. You just need the courage to keep showing up. If you enjoyed this deep dive into her life and legacy, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. And definitely drop a comment below. What part of Ledisi's journey inspired you the most? Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting this channel, and as always, stay curious, stay inspired, and stay legendary.